I used to think the worst part of weddings was the way every price tag grew a veil the second you said bride. Linen napkins cost like they were woven from clouds. Bands charged Carnegie Hall rates to play shallow. Chairs had a ceremony surcharge because people cried near them. I thought that was the scam I had to watch for. Turns out, the real scam wore white. I'm Alex, 32. Day shift on a warehouse floor off I-285 moving other people's must-haves with a pallet jack and a bad back. Nights driving a rideshare to stack enough to make the numbers meet in the middle. I don't have a startup or a brand. I have a thermos, a spreadsheet, and a habit of showing up early because it's the only thing I can control. Riley entered my life in a flood of sunlight and donation links. We met at a charity 5K in Atlanta where she was half MC, half influencer, all energy. She had a way of holding her phone so the belt line looked generically magical and every passerby felt like a protagonist. "Send a little more love to the donation jar," she cried in a voice that could get a free sample to tip. After the race, I made a joke about participation medals and she laughed like I was funnier than I am. "You look like a guy who can carry the weight," she said. It should have been a weird compliment. It felt like a prophecy I wanted to fulfill. Our first dates were all loud places where she somehow made us feel like the quiet. Krog Street Market Tacos. A pop-up in Ponce where she knew the chef and got us one extra plate for the story. She called what she did social good content, which sounded like a contradiction until you saw her turn a broken light bulb into a metaphor for community. She could frame anything into meaning in 15 seconds or less. When she took my hand crossing Edgewood at midnight, I believed in her edits more than my own eyes. I proposed in our backyard under a tired sycamore that drops bark like a dog sheds guilt. No drone footage, no flash mob, just a ring. I overpaid 2 paychecks for because I wanted it to look at her the way I did. She cried, said yes, and then hugged me like we were already a story with a good ending. "Let's make a wedding everyone remembers," she whispered into my collar, "and let it do good." In Riley speak, do good always came with a link tree. Planning was her element. She spun up a Notion board with more tabs than a tax return. Venues, vendors, timeline, community engagement, partnerships, content capture, registries. 5 registries to be exact. Target, Amazon, Crate and Barrel, Zola, and a charity in lieu of gifts. Page that let guests donate to something called Ever After Collective. So people have options, she said, tapping through each like a tour guide. Some people love a Dutch oven. Some people want to save a seal. "What's Ever After?" I asked, because the site looked like a real nonprofit, but the contact email was just her first initial and last name at Gmail. "It's a fund that helps under-resourced couples throw weddings," she said, squeezing my arm. "Part of the content series I'm producing deals with vendors, matching donors, the whole thing. I'll file the 501(c)(3) paperwork once we're past the event. You're helping build something bigger." She said it with that look she had, the one that made impossible things seem one phone call away. I didn't ask to see bylaws. I wanted to be her yes. Deposits went out like we were tipping a tide. 30% to a florist in Kirkwood who could make eucalyptus look expensive. 20 to a DJ who had more followers than song transitions. 50 to hold a raw brick Beltline warehouse with big windows and old ghosts we could string with Edison bulbs. A caterer wanted half up front to lock in a menu whose copy was a poem, seasonal small plates, late night sliders, joyful greens. "We'll cover a chunk with partnerships," Riley promised, showing me emails full of marketing jargon that made free things sound like justice. Florals in exchange for tagged deliverables. Cake for a reel. Rentals for an unboxing. It all lived in her inbox like birds perched on a wire. I paid what I could because the brand deal from her agency was days away, and in the meantime, I was the guy with a credit card and a willingness to bruise for love. I added shifts at the warehouse, clocked out, then drove 6 hours of strangers to their lives, while mine quietly narrowed to a budget and a date. When you're tired enough, your doubts learn to whisper. Riley named our theme Rooftop City Dream. She had a deck for it. Warm metals, glass, pale greens, clean lines, lanterns like planets, she said, smiling her producer smile. A mood that feels like we rented a skyline. My mom cried at the tasting because moms are allowed. My best man, Jay, tried on a suit and said he looked like a man who knows raisins have no place in potato salad, which I took as a compliment. Her friends threw a shower where everyone wrote advice on little cards that read like a ransom note from Instagram. Never go to bed angry. Yes, Sashand. Be his peace. Hide a 20 in the glove compartment. Someone gifted us a copper cocktail shaker. I held it and tried to imagine us old in a kitchen where everything matched. There were tiny oddities at first, things I filed under creative, because her job blurred a lot of lines. She spun up a wedding website on the knot. It was cute. Our photos from a Ponce City market stroll. Our story, an RSVP page. 2 days later, my cousin in Minneapolis texted me a screenshot from the same platform. "Y'all look great, entrepreneur," he wrote. The bio under my face read, "Alex, entrepreneur." I stared. I am many things. Entrepreneur is not one. I showed Riley, laughing to blunt something sharper. "Oh," she said, not missing a beat. "I'm doing ADB tests on copy to see what version gets more RSVP clicks. The algorithm loves ambition." She kissed my cheek. "Do you want logistics specialist instead? We can test that too." Somewhere between flattered and foolish, I let it go. She was the expert. I was the man who could install a dimmer switch without electrocuting himself. More tests appeared. A week later, a childhood friend in Phoenix DM'd me, "I didn't know you were doing a Sedona garden ceremony." My heart did a confused backflip. The link she sent looked like our site, but with a different banner photo and a different venue. Something with red rocks and string lights. Date, second Friday in July. Ours was first Saturday. The copy didn't say second ceremony. It said Arizona celebration. I brought my phone to Riley in the kitchen while she labeled jars like a woman auditioning for a pantry show. "What's this?" She smiled like this was a fun surprise I'd ruined early. "Portfolio. I build multiple site shells for other couples and showcase what's possible with partners. It's an industry thing, like mock-ups. The Sedona page is a case study for a brand I'm pitching. It's still us because it's our aesthetic, but it's not real. You used our names." "Only on the back end," she said. "Front-facing, it's a vibe piece. We'll switch the names if it converts." Then, softer, honey. "This is my world. We HB life. Please don't make me defend it." I told myself I was old-fashioned and let it go again. So many of her sentences made me feel like a man from the analog era standing in a room where the walls move. Her charity registry, the Ever After Collective, started to grow in a way I couldn't track. Aunties who didn't want to pick between a mixer and duvets loved the Donate Instead button. Coworkers from my warehouse sent 25 with "proud of you, man." One night, Riley showed me a dashboard full of totals and hearts. "We're going to surprise a couple next spring," she said. "Your wedding will pay it forward." By then, I'd signed up for every overtime slot on the whiteboard. I caught a second wind around midnight most nights, built out our Excel doc like a budget could keep love safe, and fell asleep with my laptop reflecting pale grids on my face. Vendors called me "sir" and texted payment links at 11,007 p.m. "Last thing before I crash," the DJ wrote, as if my balance was keeping him awake. Our rental company sent us a partner rate contract that still felt like highway robbery in a tux. 1,800 for chairs because they had a meaningful shape. Riley explained that statement seating pays for itself. I drove a bachelorette party of 7 to Buckhead and listened to them sing "Mr. Brightside" like it was a court transcript. I calculated the chairs again and tried to believe in their meaning. I should have asked better questions when she changed shipping addresses on 2 registries. Just routing gifts to a fulfillment space, she said, typing as she spoke, the way she did when her mind ran ahead of her mouth. We can't have 70 boxes on the porch. Porch pirates love love. The fulfillment space was a P.O. box at a mail center in Decatur. They receive furniture? I asked, picturing a mattress in a tiny unit. They reroute, she said, vague. Trust me, carried us a lot of miles. Bachelor party came and went like a rented wave machine. Jay planned it cheap and cheerful. Talk golf, a dive bar, Waffle House at 2 a.m. I got nostalgic about nothing in particular and promised to be a man worth the work. She texted me a photo from her spa day holding cucumber slices over her eyes and wrote, "Miss you. Save all your good stories for me." 2 weeks out, the warehouse owner emailed to confirm the schedule. Load in Friday noon, key exchange at 4, rehearsal at 6, lights out by 9. Then a second email 5 minutes later, we can do the keys earlier if needed. Your coordinator mentioned a second rehearsal in Charleston. Want me to get you an extra set? I reread it 3 times to make sure my brain wasn't adding words. I called him. I'm sorry, I said, careful. A second rehearsal where? Charleston, he said, as if he were reading from a neutral weather report. Small family thing, she said. I only asked because if she's hopping states, I don't want to hand the key to a cousin with a very convincing smile. But if y'all are local for load-in, no worries. We're flexible. I hung up and searched Riley Ever After Collective, Charleston, because when something looks like smoke, sometimes it's just smoke. Sometimes it's your house. Her reels hit me like an optical illusion. 2 stories, 1 love, she'd captioned, with a filter that made everything look warmer than December. She was in a white dress. Not our dress, but white is a language with dialects, and there was a man beside her whose face never quite made it into the frame. A hand on a back, a tucked shoulder, champagne stems, clinks, vows cropped to lips. The camera kept finding reasons to cut 1 millisecond early. I knew that trick. Hide the important thing in a rhythm and your audience will call it style. My chest went hollow in a very precise way. Not like betrayal had stabbed me. More like somebody had opened my sternum and replaced one vital organ with a question. I tried to prove myself wrong. I dug into the back end of our The Knot page and found the Sedona shell, as she'd called it, and a Charleston shell, and another Minneapolis shell with a banner photo I didn't recognize and a venue I'd never heard of. The RSVP links for those pages weren't active, but the registries linked to the same 5 lists. Same Dyson, same stemware, same Donate to Ever After. Returns policy screenshots lived in a folder labeled Post-Wedding Workflow. If you're not looking for malice, workflow sounds harmless. I emailed the warehouse owner for our contract. He sent it with a note that said everything was looking magical. In a footnote at the bottom, a clause, alternate events. In the box where it asked for other dates we might need the space, Riley had written 3 cities, Charleston, Phoenix, Minneapolis, and TBD, next to each. I could feel the shape of the room changing, even if the furniture hadn't moved yet. I called Jay. He listened like the best man he was. He didn't say the thing men say when they want to be right. He said, "Okay, what's our list?" My list was always the same. Collect facts, organize facts, ask questions with answers that can live on paper. I opened a new tab on the spreadsheet and started a timeline. I put vendors left to right, deposit amounts, what email they came from, delivery addresses, changes requested. I added a column for registry purchases with order numbers and destinations. I added a column for the ever after donations, and when the money left the accounts, I could see. I wasn't hacking. I was a man building a picture out of the Scrapsicon leaves because they can't lie perfectly in 5 places at once. The first confirmation came from a florist in Phoenix who had texted Riley 3 times about a delivery window to a temporary storage unit. "Just checking, Riley," she wrote, polite but clenched. "We need a physical address by Thursday." I texted her from my number. "Hey, this is Alex, the groom. That delivery isn't for us. Please don't send anything." She wrote back in under a minute, "Alex, I'm so sorry. Are you two doing a celebration here? Because the deposit was significant. My name wasn't on that contract." Riley had signed as creative director and used a Gmail that was almost, but not quite, her normal 1-2 letters swapped. If you weren't looking, it looked like her. I would have believed my own doubt if that's where it stopped. It didn't. The DM hit from a stranger whose profile photo was a dog wearing sunglasses. "Hi, you don't know me. I'm Jamie. This is insane and maybe I'm wrong, but are you getting married to Riley in Minneapolis next Saturday? Because my fiancé follows a photographer who posted a sneak peek of a North Loop warehouse micro wedding with your bride. Our date is the same day. I'm not trying to be messy. This seems bad." Her message was a bomb with a silencer. There was a link. The link led to a grid of sneak peeks, hands and backs, and laughs and silhouettes that could be anyone until your stomach recognizes the posture of the person it sleeps next to. The caption was neutral, like it was a tax form. Beautiful moments with R and A. The A could be anyone. Or me. Or a man whose name I didn't know yet. I didn't answer Jamie, not right away. I went to the hallway where we leaned our borrowed arbor against the wall and stared at it like it might answer a question. Then I picked up my phone and texted Riley. "Warehouse called about keys. Said you have a Charleston rehearsal. Am I missing something?" She replied instantly, as if my text were just a cue in a plan. "Of course not. 2 mini shoots. Portfolio deliverables. You know this. You said yes when we discussed spinning off content." We never discussed spinning off content. We discussed me taking an extra Tuesday night route so we could afford a better sound system. Call me paranoid, but portfolio deliverables felt like a line you write when you want to keep a lid on a boiling pot. I wrote back, "I need you home. I need to see your calendar. I need to understand why the knot has 3 versions of our wedding in 3 states with the same registries." Ellipses. "Then, I'm on a call. Don't spiral. We're 6 days out. Focus on the joyful part." There was a heart emoji. It landed like a thumbtack. I didn't spiral. I built a group text with Jay and my cousin in Minneapolis and my childhood friend in Phoenix. I lined up screenshots like suspects. Jay said, "I'll play bad cop." My cousin said, "I'm already mad on your behalf." My friend said nothing for a long time, and then, "If this is what it looks like, I'm going to drive to Atlanta and set up cones so people stop crashing into you." Riley got home at 9:14 p.m. with the smell of eucalyptus in her hair and an apology in her mouth. "I should have been clearer," she said, dropping her tote like it had betrayed her shoulder. "I'm a producer. I produce. Brands want alt endings now. We shoot in Charleston and Minneapolis with friend crews to build out the content arc. We'll swap names and blur faces. It's legal, I promise. It's creative. It's not what you think." "What do I think?" I asked. Because sometimes the only way to stop a spin is to ask it to name itself. She put her hands on my cheeks and kissed me the way directors kiss actors when they need them to trust the next take. "You think I'm marrying 9 men," she said, laughing lightly, like the idea needed her to be ridiculous. "I'm marrying one. You. Do you want me to sign that on a napkin?" "I want you to show me the contracts," I said. "I want to see the invoices for friend crews. I want to know why registry gifts are being routed to a P.O. box instead of our house. I want to know why the charity money lands in Ever After's account and then pays event deposits. I want to know why our warehouse contract lists alternate events in 3 cities." For a second, something in her face went flat, like a screen that loses signal. Then it was back, warmth, concern, that performance of intimacy that had won me 100 times. "Babe," she said, soft. "You're exhausted. You've been working too hard. You're seeing patterns because that's what you do when you're scared. This is my industry. It's messy up close. It's clean when it ships." "Show me anyway," I said, and there was a quiet where we both realized the next part would put truth into a place it couldn't get out of. She went to the office, typed with purpose, came back with 2 PDFs on an iPad, a deck titled 2 Celebrations, 1 Love, and a budget labeled EACQ2 Activation. The deck looked like any post-production cell. Mood boards, timelines, deliverables, ceremony content capture, brunch portraits, statement exit. The budget had line items, gratuities, talent meal stipends, hard costs offset by brand partners. Agency words for naps and sandwiches, and begging florists to have their invoice. "Ever After is the client," she said, tapping the logo she'd designed herself. "The brand that makes it all possible, the thing bigger than us." "Who owns Ever After?" I asked, though I already knew. "Legally? Me," she said. "But spiritually? Everyone who believes love should be beautiful even if you can't afford copper flatware." "What about the Minneapolis site?" I asked. "The North Loop micro wedding?" Her jaw tightened on the word micro. "Case study," she said. "Lighting test. The photog owed me a favor." "I got a DM from a woman named Jamie," I said. "She's getting married the same day, in that venue. She says your planner told her you have a rehearsal here and there." Riley blinked, slowly, like she was listening to a delayed translation of what I'd said. "I don't know that name," she said. "Planners talk. Vendors overlap. If there's confusion, I'll fix it. Please stop letting strangers into our house." I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But the house already had cracks. I slept badly. The way you sleep when your brain insists on replaying the same 3 seconds of a video you can't unsee. At 3:12 a.m., while the street was ahum and a dog snored at the foot of the bed like a second metronome, my phone buzzed. A new message request. The same dog in sunglasses profile photo. "I'm sorry to bother you at night," Jamie wrote. "I found your Ever After registry through one of the links and the EIN searches to. There isn't an EIN. The donations page says tax deductible, but there's no charity registration. My fiancé is asleep and I'm panicking. If I'm wrong, I'll send you a present and pretend I never said this. If I'm right, we're both standing in front of a train." I stared at the blue light of my screen until my eyes watered and I realized I was holding my breath like a person waiting for a wave to hit. I messaged back, "Can you talk tomorrow morning?" Then, because I am a man who has learned that fear gets louder in silence, I added, "Thank you for reaching out. You did the right thing." She replied with a phone number and 2 words that felt like a lifeline and a verdict all at once. "Call me." And just like that, a week before my wedding, I was wide awake in a house full of borrowed lanterns, realizing I might not be the only groom in Riley's story, or even the main character in mine. I called Jamie the next morning from my car outside the warehouse before my shift. She answered on the first ring like she'd been waiting by the phone since 3 a.m. "Hey, it's Alex." She exhaled into the line. Okay, I'm not crazy." "I really want you to be," I said, and she laughed once, the kind that has tears parked behind it. Her fiancé's name was Aiden North Loop Warehouse, Minneapolis, 2nd Saturday in July, exact time as our ceremony block in Atlanta. Their planner had been talking directly with Riley's coordinator, a woman named Key, who had demanded raw photo files, access to the venue early, and rehearsal flexibility due to a content shoot in Atlanta. Jamie said the phrase like it made her teeth itch. She sent me her contract. The signature block read, "Ever After Collective, Creative Director, Riley Quinn. Deposit, 40% partner rate, which somehow came out higher than the regular price after story package add-ons. The registry links at the bottom were our same 5. The charity button used the same checkout template, same tax-deductible language, same mailing address for acknowledgement letters, a P.O. box in Decatur. "Do you have an EIN for ever after?" she asked. "No," I said. "I have a promise she'll file one after our wedding." "I ran it through IRS search last night," Jamie said. "Nothing. She's claiming tax benefit status that doesn't exist." "Okay," I said, slow, like I was walking down a dark hallway and feeling for the wall. "We're going to build a picture that anyone can understand without knowing either of us." Jamie is a project manager for a medical device company. Within an hour, we had a shared Google Sheet labeled WHHA. Columns: city, venue, date, contract name, deposit amount, registry overlap, charity, flows, coordinator contact, shipping addresses used, changes requested. She colored her rows purple. I colored mine green. By lunch, the sheet had a third color, orange, when a man named Trevor from Charleston replied to a DM I'd sent into the void of Charleston wedding tags. His message was, "Hey man, I hope I'm wrong. My date is Friday. I have a rehearsal then." Her planner said she has to fly to ATL for family ceremonies rehearsal, same night. That sound right to you? He attached a screenshot of a contract for a park in Mount Pleasant. Signature, Ever After Collective. Deposit, cash for charity activation. Registry links are same 5. I added him to the sheet and to a group chat titled Vendors and Victims, Riley EC. I invited the Phoenix florist who texted about a storage unit, the Sedona chair rental company, a Charleston DJ, a Minneapolis photographer, 2 officiants, and the rental warehouse in Atlanta. Within hours, the chat was a chorus of polite shock hardening into anger. People pasted contracts. People pasted Cash App receipts labeled donation in lieu of gifts. People pasted partner rate. Invoices with totals that looked like normal rates wearing an altruist mustache. Patterns popped. The registries were identical across all 3 cities. The charity button-fed money into Ever After's LLC and out again to flights, dresses, micro-crews, and event deposits. The rehearsals overlapped like a Venn diagram drawn by a drunk. In every city, the coordinator demanded raw files from photographers for the brand story arc. Each vendor had been blessed with exposure. No one had seen the EIN. I called my best man, Jay. He came over with coffee and a legal pad and didn't say, "I told you so." He drew 3 circles on the page: ATL, CHS, MSP. In the middle, he wrote RQ. In the margins, he wrote freeze registries, freeze venue access, police, get case numbers, get the books. "We could blow this up online," he said. "I don't want a trending tag," I said. "I want a detective. I want the kind of room where her explanations sound like what they are." I picked up the phone and called APD's non-emergency line and asked for fraud. A woman named Sergeant Alvarez called me back 15 minutes later. I expected skepticism. I got a notepad. "If you've got paper, I've got interest," she said. "People use charities as a cloaking device, and weddings make otherwise careful folks allergic to due diligence. Tell me your timeline." I told her. I sent the folder contracts, messages, screenshots, the sheet. She asked for the registry URLs and the mail center address. She asked for the warehouse contact, the Charleston Park Permit Office, and the North Loop venue manager. "This is multi-jurisdictional," she said. "I'll loop in Charleston and Minneapolis. If possible, we'll contact her at your rehearsal. Don't confront her alone. Don't put it on the internet. Don't warn her." The group chat kept growing. The Sedona rental company added, "She also inquired about a private vow shoots in our garden and asked if we can float a deposit until Monday if she brings cash Saturday for charity. We said no." The Minneapolis photographer wrote, "Her coordinator key asked me to sign a document that says work for hire for EACs even though the groom is paying me directly." The Charleston DJ sent a voice memo where Key explained the 2-story format and said, "Trust me, This is how media works now. My mother called to ask if I wanted her to drop off pound cake and to hear my voice. I almost lied. But the part of me that wanted to be the man she raised won. I told her the outline, not the details. She went very quiet for a long time. Then she said, "When someone says, 'Don't spiral,' ask to see their receipts." I called the 5 registries and asked for their fraud teams. I had never said those words in that order. It felt both ridiculous and correct. Zola froze the cash fund when I gave them a case number. Target flagged our list for manual review and paused shipments to the P.O. box. Crate and Barrel escalated to their compliance unit when I said the word EIN and sent them a copy of the tax-deductible language. Honey Fund locked down disbursements. Amazon sent me a do not reply email that promised nothing and quietly stopped showing the charity toggle on our page. Jamie did the same with her lists. Trevor did too. Our grid filled with frozen, paused, reversed. I tried one more conversation with Riley 2 nights before rehearsal. Not a fight. A request for accountability that, in a sane world, ends with, "I'm sorry," and a plan to fix it. "Do you love me?" I asked, because sometimes that's the only true or false you have left. Her face softened. "Yes," she said. "Alex, yes." "Then show me the ever after bank statements," I said. "Show me where the donations go. Show me the EIN filing. Show me the contracts for Charleston and Minneapolis where the grooms sign your invoices. Show me the emails where you tell those men that you're engaged to someone else and these are content shoots, not marriage ceremonies." She blurred and sharpened in front of me, like focus was a choice she was tired of making. "You think I'm a con," she said. No tears, no anger, just a little wonder, like she was witnessing a stranger's bad take. "I'm building something. I'm bringing beauty to people who can't afford it. I'm taking from brands and giving to couples and telling stories that make money and meaning. I'm not stealing from you. I'm asking you to believe in what we are." "What are we?" I asked. "We're the North Star," she said. "The anchor. The one that's real." "What are they?" "Deliverables," she said. She winced after saying it like she'd hurt herself and wanted a do-over. "Sets. Proof of concept. You know this. You've always known this. You just can't see it because you're tired and the internet is loud." "Then let the police be louder," I said, surprising myself with how calm I sounded. "Let them read your contracts. Let them look at your books. If I'm wrong, we'll live with the embarrassment. If I'm right, we won't live in a lie." She closed her eyes. "You're going to ruin everything," she whispered. "What did you think a wedding was supposed to be?" I asked. "A pilot?" Rehearsal day came anyway. That's the thing about dates you put on a calendar. Time keeps walking toward them no matter how many walls you build. I got to the warehouse early because my body doesn't know any other way to be. The space looked like the mood board, lanterns, glass, pale greens, clean lines, a city trying on wonder. Friends traded zip ties and hugs. The DJ looped our playlist. My brain felt like an engine idling at redline. Sergeant Alvarez texted me, "We're on site." I scanned faces and spotted 2 plainclothes near the back posture of people who watch for exits. I nodded, a little salute just for me. Riley arrived last, wrapped in a white robe with a stitched R and a smile bright enough to make truth flinch. "My husband-to-be," she sang, and people clapped, because clapping is a reflex that doesn't ask for proof. She kissed me for the camera. I let her. Somewhere in an hour, I'd be the man who broke a room that cost me 3 paychecks and most of my pride. Right now, I was the man who wanted everyone to get out without breaking. The officiant called us to the center. She asked us to join hands. She started talking about love like it was a city ordinance that passed unanimously. I stared at our fingers and thought about how good we'd been at pretending. "Ms. Quinn?" a voice said, firm and respectful. 2 officers stepped in from the side. The room turned in a single wave like a school of fish. Riley kept her smile for half a second, like she thought this was a surprise flash mob. "What's this?" she asked, voice social, pitch perfect. "Ma'am, we need you to come with us," the taller officer said. "We're investigating multiple complaints regarding fraudulent inducement and misuse of charitable solicitation. We're also issuing a subpoena for the business records of Ever After Collective." "We're in the middle of a rehearsal," she said, and the room heard the "we" and leaned toward it like heat. "It'll be brief," he said. "You can contact counsel from the station. We'll do our best to minimize disruption. You can bring your phone." Eyes found me. A few looked like questions. A few looked like blame. Jay stood next to me, chin up like a brother who knows how to hold you without putting hands on you. Riley's eyes found mine. "Tell them," she said quietly. "Tell them this is a mistake." I looked at the florist who had rerouted roses in 3 states in the last 24 hours. I looked at the DJ who'd bought a new controller and sent me a thumbs up at midnight. I looked at 2 women from the group chat standing in the doorway, hands clasped so tight their knuckles went white. "Riley," I said, just as quietly, "you set up 3 wedding days with 3 men. You collected gifts and cash in 3 cities using 5 registries and a charity that doesn't exist on paper. You told vendors you were paying with exposure and told us it was all for good. This isn't confusion. It's a plan." Her mouth went flat. "You always wanted to be a hero," she said, and for a second I saw the person underneath, the one who can't believe the story doesn't like her anymore. They walked her out without cuffs. She put her head down like she was stepping into wind. The door closed. The sound in the room changed from music to air. I asked for the mic. "Friends," I said, and my voice sounded like I borrowed it from someone better than me. "Thank you for being here. There won't be a wedding tomorrow. If you spent money to help us, I'll get it back to you. If you sent gifts, we'll make sure they're returned or refunded. If you're a vendor, you'll be paid what you're owed by me, not exposure. If you're a friend, I'm sorry my love story asked you to lie without telling you." I didn't have a plan for how to do all that. I had a list with boxes to check and a group chat that had turned into a battalion. The next 3 weeks were a second job. Sergeant Alvarez coordinated with detectives in Charleston and Minneapolis and handed everything to the DA's office. Vendors filed statements. The city registrar's office sent the Ever After charity page to the state charity regulator and the IRS tip line. Zola and Target processed refunds. Not all, but more than I thought possible. Amazon did what Amazon does. Quietly reversed and moved money without ever admitting a person had made the decision. Honey Fund sent an email that read, like legal comfort food, "We've suspended the campaign and will issue refunds where possible." We turned the group chat into a spreadsheet with columns for restitution, who was owed, how much, where to send it. I sold my car. Jay's cousin, a lawyer who looks like a linebacker and writes like a poet, took our case pro bono until we got settlement money from the party I now understand is called the defendant. The DA charged Riley with scheme to defraud and solicitation fraud with an unregistered entity. It wasn't a movie, no orange jumpsuit. An arraignment in a room with bad carpet. A plea that sounded like a sigh. A condition, restitution, probation, a ban on managing fundraising for the length of the sentence, community service at a real nonprofit where the EIN shows up the second you search it. The DA's voice when she said ban had the weight of a woman who's had to learn this lesson more than once. Key, the coordinator, flipped fast. She handed over email chains. Case study, subject lines, contracts with dates and names and cities that made my timeline look like a prophecy. The mail center gave records of packages rerouted to an apartment in Midtown and another in Charleston. The bank records for Ever After showed charity dollars, paying for bridesmaid robes in 3 sizes and content crew meal stipends in 2 states and equipment rental that turned out to be a ring light. The Minneapolis groom, Aiden, sent a text that was either apology or PR. I didn't know. She told me she was doing a 2 ceremonies story and the ATL guy was the family content. If you want me to say that on paper, I will. Trevor from Charleston sent a photo of his wrist with the date tattoo half removed and wrote, "I'm fine. I'm also going to be late to the refund meeting," dermatologist ran over. My mother hugged me with the kind of hug that makes your shoulders drop without permission, and then put her hands on my face and said, "You did the boring thing. I'm proud of the boring thing." Riley emailed me once, "You've ruined my reputation." I wrote back, "You built your reputation with promises you didn't keep. I just added receipts." She didn't respond. The vendors got paid. Not all at once, not fully in every case. But checks cleared, balances went to zero, and people who started this business because they love the way flowers look in July got back to talking about water picks instead of police reports. The registry sent lists of anyone whose gifts were caught midstream. We mailed notes that said, "Your generosity was misused. It's being returned." Old ladies at church mailed me $10 bills with "For the chairs," written in the memo because kindness is addictive if you let it be. I stayed off the internet. I didn't read think pieces about the contentification of life and the gig economy of vows. I didn't doom scroll the comments on her last reel. I fixed a fence post at my mom's place. I cut my hours to normal and took 2 Saturdays to sleep like teenagers do. And one afternoon, I stood in the empty warehouse with the lights off and the windows open and felt wind move where dancing was supposed to be and understood why people pray. Do I wish I'd seen it earlier? Of course. But the thing about scams is they wear your love like camouflage. I believed because believing felt better than joining a fight I wasn't ready for. I learned something about myself I don't like. I will work myself into silence if you tell me it's for something good. I'm learning to ask, "Show me," even when I want to say yes. If you're listening to this because you Google wedding stories when you can't sleep, or because you're a vendor who's been burned, or because you're a person who loves a camera, memorize 3 sentences for me. What's the EIN? Who holds the money? Can I see the contract? If those answers are a vibe instead of a noun, step back. What would you have done? Walked down the aisle and prayed the math worked out, or called a sergeant and turned the music off? Would you have blasted it on social and chased a viral cleanse, or done what we did? Build a timeline, file reports, and stand in a room with a seal on the wall and let boring justice do its work. If this story hit you in the gut, tell me how. Drop your take in the comments. Hit like so. This finds the next person who thinks 5 registries is options and not a flag. Subscribe if you want more long, messy, true-feeling stories where the twist isn't a surprise bouquet. It's a P.O. box, a fake charity, and 2 officers stepping into a rehearsal while the playlist keeps playing.